Hello students. Today let's start with Unit 2 and the first chapter, the 2.1 chapter is a poem called Invictus written by William Ernest Henley. So to give you a small brief about the poem as well as the poet was born in Gloucester, England in 1849. And when he was 12 years old, he was diagnosed with tubercular arthritis. Okay, so he had tuberculosis in his bones, and because of that they had to amputate one of his legs. So it was a very sad phase in his life. It was a phase full of struggle in his life, and so he wrote this particular poem called Invictus, which means unconquerable, during that time, that phase in his life. And so the poem talks about inner strength, passion and defiance. Okay, so moving on to the poem. Out of the night that covers me, black as the pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. So here the poet is saying that the period when he had tuberculosis, tubercular arthritis, that period was a very dark period for him. Dark, and he is referring dark as a night. So during the night time, it is generally very dark and you can't really see anything unless there are street lights. So he is saying that that the darkness was covering me, and it was as black as the pit from pole to pole. So what do you mean by pit? Pit is a small hole that you dig in the ground, which will be pitch black. It will be completely black from all the corners. Okay, pole to pole meaning each and every side. From each and every side it will be very dark. So he was in a period of where he was in deep depression, and there was darkness covering his life. And then he is thanking the gods, whatever gods, he does not mention what god, he just says that I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. That means he is thanking the gods for not letting his soul be conquered by the darkness. That means he survived out of that darkness. He did not go into depression, and he did not try to kill himself or something like that. Okay, so he fought and he came out of it. Moving on. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the burgeonings of chance, my head is bloody but unbowed. So here he is saying that I fell into the clutch of circumstances. That means he was just circumstances is your surroundings, the time that is going through. Okay, so for example, this coronavirus is a circumstance. Okay, we are going through this particular circumstance and we are in the clutch of that circumstance. So similarly, he was in the clutch of that circumstance. He did not have anything to do with it. It was just there for him. Okay, so he says that I have not winced nor cried. That means I have not really said that why does this happen to me. I did not cry that why did I have to lose my leg, etc. Under the burgeonings of chance. So burgeonings is when you hit somebody with a club. Okay, so here is a picture of a club. So he is saying that he was under the burgeonings. That means he was under the beatings of chance. Chance is probability that the life had thrown upon him. And my head is bloody but unbowed. My head is bloody means he was disturbed, he was under depression, but he was unbowed. That means he did not surrender to his pain or his depression. He held his head high. Moving on. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. Now in the first line, beyond this place of wrath and tears, the poet is talking about the earth and all the anger. Wrath means anger and tears are compared to pain. So all it he talks about all the anger and pain that you have to go through on earth, and he says that there is another place, a horror of the shade, where this is a place where people go into depression and menacing thoughts. Okay, and yet the menace of the years, menace means the somebody or something that causes you harm, that is going to put you in danger. So he's talking about those years of his life, those dangers of his life when he was in the hospital and trying to survive. He says that men finds and shall find me unafraid. That means, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. So he is saying that I wasn't afraid then, and I am not afraid right now, and you will always find me unafraid of those menacing years, of those dangerous years. Okay, then he, in the next para, he says that it matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate, I am the captain of my soul. So he says that it does not really matter to me how the heaven is or how much punishment I will have to go through in the hell. I am the master of my fate. That means I will do what I want to do. I will be the one who decides what I am going to be in my life, and I am the captain of my soul. That means I will decide. Nobody can tell me what I should do and what I should not do. Not even the circumstances that the life has thrown me into. I will decide how I come out of those circumstances and how I survive. Okay, so as usual we will move on to the figures of speech that are used in this particular poem. First one is symbolism, where symbolism is where an object, person or situation has another meaning other than its literal meaning. Okay, so when we are referring to something, we will, so for example, we say that dove, the bird dove, is a symbol of peace, right? So we are symbolizing dove, or we are symbolizing peace with dove. Okay, so over here, for example, in this poem, he has used black as the pit from pole to pole. So here he has symbolized his life. He has symbolized the darkness and the depression as the pit, that is dark and black. Okay, so pit is generally a symbol for darkness and sadness. Okay, then imagery is create a vivid mental picture or physical sensation. Okay, so that means that when the poet is writing something, he writes it in such a way that you get the whole picture in your mind. That means you start imagining all of it. So for example, my head is bloody but unbound. So now you can imagine that his head is bloody, that blood is rushing out of his head, but still he has held his head high. He is not bowing his head to anybody. Okay, so this is the kind of image that will come into your mind. Then these are the figures of speech that we have already done. So we will just discuss how they are used in this particular poem. So first one is simile. Simile is when we are making direct comparison. We are using words such as or like. So black as the pit from pole to pole. We are directly comparing black and pit, that the pit is black. Then alliteration is when there is repetition of sound. So black as the pit from pole to pole. Here the sound of p is repeated in the sentence. And then personification is when you give some non-living thing human quality, right? So you personify it. So the example is under the burgeoning of chance. Okay, so chance does not really come and hit you with a club. Hitting somebody with a club is something that humans do, we people might do, but we are writing it in comparison to chance. Okay, so we are giving chance that quality of bludgeoning, of hitting somebody with a club. Okay, so now your homework for today for this particular chapter is that you have to answer these questions on based on which are based on the poem, and then you also have to write the rhyme scheme of the poem. And one thing I forgot to mention in the slide, what you have to do is write a poem appreciation. Okay, thank you.